I'll take us live now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week is Stupid for the 7th of April, 2024. I have a guest here. Mr. Ors, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm a friend of V's. I'm working with him
Right.
on a project that's ongoing in the background. Pleasure to meet you all.
Let me know if the audio is fine, chat, because I had no ways of testing it before the stream. So if his audio is a lot louder than mine or vice versa. Anyway, right. Let's just get into it and discuss some of the things that happened. This one is recent. Are you aware of a gentleman by the name of Mr. Somali?
Well, of course, yeah. Johnny Somali, you mean?
Yeah, Johnny Somali. Famous streamer, went to Japan,
Yeah,
enriched
hard
the
not to know the
culture.
guy. He is notorious.
Yes, well, apparently he got himself into a conundrum. He decided to be
Hmm?
a cheeky little shit next to the Israeli police force.
Yeah, it's not his first run-in with them either, from what I see. I mean, he came up on like viral a couple of times where he was just, I don't know, he seems to go to, hot spots and just gets involved with all that stuff. And I guess he gets seen probably as an instigator or whatever.
I was not aware that he actually went to Israel, though. Like, I know that he got arrested by the Japanese authorities for being an honorless gaijin, but he got deported, right? So now his journey takes us to the place where the Messiah was crucified. And he decided to go out of his way in order to be an antagonistic prick to one of the ladies there. Brought some healthy dose of misogyny
Yeah.
towards a female police officer. Did you see the video?
Well, I saw part of it. I kind of click out on that stuff pretty quick, because I think this is like he went to Thailand, I think, before he went to Israel too.
See, I was not
But I
aware about
mean,
his Thailand adventures. What happened there?
I'm not 100% sure. Probably have to look it up. But I do know about the video that happened for the Israel thing. He kept, like, I don't know, rubbing up against the police or whatever, or kind of like bumping into them, I think, or whatever. Like, from what I understood, when they were like telling him to get back, one of the guys was going on like, stop getting close, or some shit like that. I'm not, I'm not super good with the language, but I don't know. I guess they were getting really uncomfortable.
Well, from what I understand, he saw a female police officer, which looked pretty good, I would say. If she was in a video game, IGN would say that she looks like unrealistic. But he targeted this lady, and he said that she needs a good time, and that he is the man to offer it. Um,
Oh yeah, that's not gonna go over well at all. Yeah.
yeah, not in Israel. Definitely not in that part, because
No.
apparently they do respect themselves, and one of her
Well,
male
it's
colleagues came in and brought some muscle over there.
yeah, but there's also kind of like a unit cultural thing going on, because like their defense forces and their policing units, they have a really tight camaraderie, right? So if you go around insulting one of their own, you're not going to get a really good reaction from the rest of them, right? They kind of take that personally as a unit.
Yeah. And this is what happened. This lady may have been the healer of the party because the tank immediately appeared. Was very muscular individual. Immediately got aggro from Mr. Somali, and the stream ended. We do not know what happened afterwards, but we can assume the White Knight was successful in diffusing the situation.
Yeah, well, I do know that at one point, I was looking at one of the later videos. I think it was on X, and he was going on like saying, "Oh, I'm an American. I'm an American." I think he was in a vehicle or something like that at the end. But
Well,
I mean, I don't think that they like hurt him or anything like that.
no, well, actually, they roughed him up a little bit. Like a little bit of
Oh,
shaking.
did they?
I get, yeah, it would be classified as assault in
Shit.
the American way of thinking, but in our Eastern European way of thinking, it would be classified as applying a correction. Yeah, so we don't know what happened. We're probably going to find out tomorrow. Um, but anyway, definitely not good. Now, another interesting thing that happened in the news, also involving the police. Greta Thunberg was arrested by the Dutch police now.
Oh my God, yeah.
We got a picture of it. I'll show it to the chat. And I'll post it to you as well first. It looks like she is having a good time, right? Unlike Mr. Somali, looking at her facial expressions, it seems that either she blasted a pretty mean fart or she's just not taking this situation very seriously.
Oh man, she reminds me of, I think her name is Abby from The Last of Us 2.
Oh my god, now I can't unsee it. Holy shit.
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
I
You
can't
unsee
unsee it. Yes. It's
Damn.
I love the facial expression of the police officers as well. It's almost like, let's get this over with. Like they're not enjoying it as much as she seems to enjoy the attention.
No, well, I always kind of find it weird, right? 'Cause every time I see one of these arrests take place or whatever, where she gets to the point where she is being a nuisance enough to those police officers to get arrested. Whereas, like, if you take a look at the rest of the pictures, you can see that there's a much bigger crowd that's right around them, right? And they're
Yeah.
protesting and all that, and they're protesting just fine without, getting hauled off. So, what the hell was she doing? And then the second question with that is, what is she doing and what is it accomplishing?
Well, I know what she's doing. This is the second time that she gets arrested, and the first time there's video evidence of the cops actually staging all of this. So they actually have like all the cameras around, and like they pose in the position that they're going to be photographed in, and then someone says action, and the police start carrying her. Yeah,
That
like
sounds actually really
basically,
plausible.
yeah, basically what this is, it's an activist tactic to the point where you'd never have heard about this protest if it wasn't for her getting arrested. So this is how they're making publicity. This is
Yeah.
how they're raising awareness. They call it.
Yeah. I mean, think of it, right? So it doesn't really accomplish anything, right? Then basically, you know that they're going to piss away money for whatever defense that they're going to put up, but she might get a 1,000, a 5,000 euro or dollar fine, or who knows what. But on the other hand, like the amount of exposure, the amount of like name time, the amount of brand time that they get on channel, right? That's like easily 10 times the amount that they would pay in that fine anyway. Just because people are going to be talking about it because there's nothing better to talk about for eco activism anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this whole Greta Thunberg thing was very artificial because on every single forum that I knew where she was being discussed, everyone was getting their comments with disabilities, like comments disabled everywhere. You were
God
not,
damn.
yeah, you're not allowed to voice any type of dissent. What people did in my country to protest, you know how like back in the days people would take a Bible and put it into the sci-fi section of the library. Yeah,
Yeah.
like here they would take Greta Thunberg's book and they would put it next to the Gulag Archipelago. So that's
Hey,
the type of
actually,
protest. Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but something just came to mind. You know what? You know what the screwy part about the whole Greta Thunberg thing is,
Mm.
right? Let's think for a second that if they go to a place like the EU, right, and the EU's got some pretty heavy like pro environment
Yeah, yeah,
laws
yeah.
and all of
The
that
the
shit, right?
Greens had like a landslide last elections.
Exactly, right. But if they would actually take half the amount of the effort that they put into like this protest shit and all of that, and they took half the amount of money and they put it to actual lawyers, right? Like eco-activist lawyers that go in and actually just sit down and examine the EU laws, they could accomplish way more just by twisting the screws on the legal system rather than going out to these street side protests, which usually wind up pissing motorists more off than it does the actual companies,
Well,
right?
yeah, but like someone gets paid, right? So it's a grift. Like the people that are organizing the protests, the people that get the money and the funding and the NGOs, like they're making cash. So
Yeah,
it's
no shit.
yeah. Well, that's what it is for. Now it's interesting, like the whole Greta Thunberg thing. How easy it is to trick people. Like the idea that a kid just one day decides not to go to school and then she starts speaking with Obama, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, goes to the UN. Like I was a kid when I skipped school, I got a spanking. Like the idea
Mhm.
that this just happened naturally and it's completely grassroots, and it's like she
Isn't
just
it?
happens to have the money to travel everywhere around the world.
Yeah. Isn't it absolutely incredible what happens when you say exactly the right thing at exactly the right time?
Yeah, man, like this type of story. I don't know how much you know about the Soviet Union, but it reminds.
I would say enough to know some crazy shit, but definitely not enough to know the entire history.
No, it's more like the mythos, right? Like the deer leader, when he was born, the bird started talking, and he would go into a factory that was failing, and by pointing his fingers in three directions and telling the workers what to do, all of a sudden the factory is now producing more than ever.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like mythical things like that were ascribed to the dear leader. And it's the same with Greta Thunberg. It's like one day she skipped school, and it just so happened that as she was protesting, this rich guy walks by her, and he is moved to tears by seeing her and starts giving her cash. And it's like it's really like the same type of mythos, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to make someone larger than life, right? Because at the end of the day, Greta has let's look at her from a social media following side, right? She's got enough like frequency that she gets people to listen, but her charisma isn't there. So if you want to make someone larger than life, you have to attach something, a bigger story to the person's identity,
How many people
and then
does she
repeat
have?
it
Hold on,
enough.
I'm curious now. I want to see. I think like her dad was managing her Twitter. I'm really curious like how many subscribers she's got. Holy fuck, 5.6 million. Jesus
Oh
Christ.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious how
There's
many
a
of
well,
them are bots. You should use your
there's a
your
lot of hate follow in there, right? There is definitely a lot of hate follow in there.
I don't know, like she's so plastic and fake that I don't even think you can hate her. It's like hating the mascot, you know? It just whatever.
Yep.
Um Thank you, American Outlier, for the $2. Hi V, hope all is well. Somali and his antics are at it again, yes. But this time, not in a country that he can get away with. Because in Japan, like, the thing was, I believe that the government of Japan wants good relationships with the Americans, right? Especially now with the Taiwan situation, and, things are getting a little bit tense in the China Sea. They don't want any type of grievances with the Americans. So they're like, well, if we lock him up, bad things will happen to him in prison. So, just expose him from the country. But Israel is America's greatest ally. Like they have so much goodwill that they can actually punish Mr. Somali if he breaks the law there. I don't think they will have any sort of regrets if Johnny Somali is applied the correction while in the state of Israel.
Yeah, there's like the policing system has a different culture to it altogether between both countries,
Yeah.
and I mean it's a completely different lifestyle entirely in Israel, and we know that the IDF, they ain't kidding around,
Yeah. You can't be
you
a
know.
cheeky little shit in that country and get away with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they're serious. These guys play pro ball, so
From all, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for the 10 stream memberships, Jacob Andrew. All right, let's talk about the next topic. Now, when this news came out, I legitimately, unironically, thought that's an April joke. But apparently, no. Apparently, Amazon, they had this program where you can go and shop, and allegedly an
Oh
AI,
yeah,
yeah, like a cashier-less technology is what they called it. So basically,
yeah.
you go to shop, and everything you take is automatically charged out of your credit card so that you don't have to wait in line. And it turns out that it was like 1,000 Indians or so sitting in India at an office, and they were monitoring. Um, and Amazon doesn't like the system anymore. They're basically saying it's not good.
No, I actually have a little bit of insight that I can give you on this. If you don't mind, I rant for a little second.
All right, go on.
All right, so when Amazon was implementing this technology, right, they were literally looking for not just a basic AI, but an actual, like, I guess you could say one of the newfangled GPT style can kind of learn as it goes AI,
Mm.
right? Now, when would they say that it was actually a bunch of Indian people?
They
Like
were
they were
doing the
saying a bunch
training
of
for the AI, right? They were.
kinda, right? Because the real deal with all of these AI things is that the latency between the camera and the system has to be super, super low so that the AI can understand what's going on at any given time, right? Because let's say someone's just going around picking items from a shelf, looking at it, and then setting it back. The AI has to be able to think fast enough and recognize the motion so that it doesn't charge you for what you took,
Wow, that's a good point.
right?
Yeah.
So in order to make it look like it's actually happening at a wide scale, they implement it flat, so on a bunch of HelloFresh places or whatever. But only some of them actually have the onboard or maybe even the on-premise, like local little cluster that's going to run that AI or the little instance that they need to make it happen. Now the
How does
whole
the
rest of that
AI
shit.
how does the AI account for stealing? Like, what if you're taking stuff without the camera seeing you?
Oh, we could have an entire hour-long conversation around how it recognizes, first of all, the person. It has to be able to track the person and then pick the person back up and not think that it's a new person if they fall out of sight and all of that shit. There's a whole entire recognition process that has to be in play because it's not like people walk around with a QR code on their back, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah, and
least not
not to
yet.
mention, like, if you have 8 people with masks, right, just going in, San Francisco style, and
Exactly,
they
right,
start
right.
just taking everything, right? Good luck
So
with that.
you're
Like,
looking the actual technology was developed primarily by the Chinese, which is body tracking technology. They can track you based on your overall like presence inside the store, your posture, and so on and so forth. And whenever you look at it on the screen, they highlight you in a kind of a rectangle that's a different color. And the system can keep track of you based on how you move around the store.
yeah,
But anyway, moving on this shit, the real problem is that they have to be able to account for, say, lost product or things that might not have been charged to the person after they picked it up. In order to do that, they need human verification, and that's the part where they're talking about where the Indians came in, or the offshore workers in this case. The problem is, though, is that, well, I don't know if I mean, you've used GPT a lot,
yeah,
right? We both have,
yeah.
and we know that while GPT is brilliant in doing some things, it's not consistent. It doesn't fit this. Like you have to be able to run this kind of technology at a level called 4 sigma or 5 sigma. And when they mean sigma, they mean certain amount of decimal points of zeros of percentage fault rate,
Mm.
right? If it's beyond that, it costs more to fix the problems than it does to run the store.
To hire a cashier, yeah.
So eventually, using the human was better and faster and more efficient than using the AI because the Indian people who were doing all the rechecks were far more accurate than the AI ever was.
Mm.
So complete loss of a product.
Yeah,
It was
and also
a
it's
great attempt, but
yeah.
fucky
No,
result.
it's also like it's too civilized for Scat Francisco and Chicago because they tried something similar with delivery drivers, and you have like this little robot. I don't know if you saw the videos, but you got like this little robot that carries your Uber Eats or your Amazon package, and it
Yeah,
just
the little tub bots
yeah,
that
yeah,
go around on the
yeah.
sidewalks.
They go on the street, right? And they have like an alarm when someone steals from them. But like apparently in Chicago, no one gave a fuck, right? So they just started stealing these places.
Uh-huh.
And I can see the same thing here. Like, yeah, sure, in a place like China, where people are civilized and they respect the other people's private property, even though they're communists, then maybe a system like this can work. But if you have like the same system in Chicago, where you have like 5 or 6 people of how should I say that's okay with YouTube's terms of service. The 6 Democrats, right? Like 6 Democrat-oriented individuals. They just go into the store and they just take everything that's not nailed down. I don't think like the AI is going to be able to recognize the exact damage and who took what.
No, but let's take it a step further. In Oregon and in California, they had these not only these like delivery robots, but also the self-driving cars with the entire camera array on the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
People would go out of their way to mess with those cars. Like they would
Why?
literally make them like they would put a cone in the road so that the car would stop,
But
and then
why?
they would hammer at the cameras because those cameras were actually taking pictures 100 times a second as it was going through the city. And that company had a business contract with the local police to provide facial recognition.
Ah, I see. So like
So,
people didn't like it. Yeah.
and since there was already an agreement, the local people kind of got wind, and now the technology is not trusted by default.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of
So,
similar what's happening in London, with the 15-minute cities. They're placing like these cameras that if you drive too fast or if your car is outdated, like it's a year of fabrication that's older than what they want you to have it, then they put a tax on you, like a credit tax. And
yeah.
people are taking down those cameras. Like they call themselves Blade Runners, I think, and they're like illegally just climbing up and taking down the cameras.
Well, in the early ages, like I remember a time when London and all that wasn't papered like like top to bottom with cameras everywhere. I remember a London that was actually not observed 24/7. There was a counterculture movement that had started around like to kind of resist that they lost, of course, because look at where we are now in the UK. But it's just, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. How fast it's evolved in our cities.
Yeah. Rating terrific for the $5. Greta, outside of her weird Coomers, true believers, and state-sanctioned bots, her following isn't that big. Get the fuck. I refuse to believe that there are people simping for Greta.
Nah, I've seen some people simp for Greta.
Oh my
I don't
god,
know if they were
no.
I don't know if they were genuine accounts, but I've seen enough comments that seriously were a little too energetic about her.
Do you think that there is a teenage boy out there who has like a picture of Greta on his bedroom wall?
Well, I mean, on a small enough scale, there's a
Oh
percentage chance
god.
that there's other life in the galaxy, right? So yeah,
Oh
I guess
shit.
there could be a chance.
By the way, this just in. Do you remember the Senator Fetterman?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently Fetterman is one right wing that I would have anticipated. Comes up now, says that he is not woke. And he says squatters have no rights. How can we even pretend that this is anything other than just breaking the law? Fetterman also blasted soft on crime policies, which critics say that contribute to the deadly shooting of an IPD detective. I have gone to police funerals. If this individual is convicted, then he should spend the rest of his life in prison and never even have the opportunity to get out.
Like holy based?
Yeah, like it's like what the fuck?
Like, I mean, I am definitely in agreement with that. I have seen one time in my life, just like in a local community, where squatters took over someone's house while they were, if we say Canadian snowbirds, right? People who go down south during the winter and then come back during the summer,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were gone. They went down to Florida because they got some money. They come back and there's people that have moved into their seaside cottage. They trashed that place once they found out that they had to move out. Like they just absolutely destroyed that place.
So what you're
There's no
saying?
way you can convince me that squatters have the right to stay in a place that they were not invited and do not have a lease on. Come on.
No, but what you're saying is that a Democrat needs to have a brain stroke in order to make common sense. So
Well,
if you're not aware, there have been like recently in the United States, especially in New York, many media outlets talking about the squatter problem because these laws were made for a society that actually respected the spirit of the thing. But now that there have been on TikTok many immigrants making videos explaining to other immigrants how to take advantage of American squatter laws. So it's basically like they're saying, look, if you can occupy the house, then it's yours. And they were making a business in mapping houses and telling people, you give me 5,000 and then this house is yours. And you can have it legally. Like the American legal system will protect you. And they
wow.
also they also interviewed some homeowners who were devastated. And there was this lady that was saying, it's like, okay, so I have to fix the utilities because if I don't, it's a $250 fine every day that I don't fix it. And I had to pay $5,000 last month, and I can't get these people out of my house. And the reporter goes like, well, why don't you change the locks? And it's like, well, if I change the locks, I get arrested,
Yeah,
right?
eviction laws.
Yeah. So that, like, now in Florida they actually changed the squatter laws. Like DeSantis immediately made a new change and was like, for show, I think, but it's basically like if you're a squatter, they can kick you out. But in
Yeah.
New York, yeah, in New York, that doesn't seem to be the case, and there's many people who are devastated because they get a property usually by inheritance or through other means, and now they have to not only be unable to monetize it because the squatters are there, but they're also unable to. They also have to pay money for it if like the utilities stop working or if something gets broken, they have to repair it.
Mm-hmm. And we actually, like where I live right now, we have the same problem. It's come up quite a few times over the last few years.
Well, here's the legal loophole that I heard. This guy sold the house to a friend of his, made the friend give the house to have a renting contract between his friend and him, and now he was a squatter and he actually had rights. So when the squatters left, he changed the locks, and because he wasn't an owner but he was a squatter, he actually had the law on his side.
Wow. That shit's clever.
Yeah, but like, why do you have to do this?
I honestly don't know. Truly, like whenever you take a look at like the reason why a law was created in the first place, there has to be a precedent set or something brought forward by someone in the past, right?
Hmm.
Laws don't fucking appear out of nowhere. Some dude had to pen it. It had to be reviewed. It had to be debated on. Then it had to be accepted and ratified.
Yeah, I know why these laws exist. If you read the Communist Manifesto, one thing that communists hate the most is the landowner. I don't know why. They believe that the landowner just makes money out of nothing. Like for some reason they don't hate the banks, but they really hate the landowner. Like it's a radical leftist thought. Like it wasn't mainstream, but like if you are
Yeah, I don't.
aware with fringe, yeah, like the
Yeah,
fringe extremists, they really hate the landowner.
yeah. Is it the landowner or the landlord, or at least
The
the person
landlord,
who's
but
renting out?
probably both. I would say like they also hate if you have
Yeah,
any type
probably.
of land. Yeah, they
Yeah,
hate
because I
ownership
know,
pretty much. Yeah,
because like now talking about the modern term landlord, you're specifically talking about someone who sublets or subrents a domicile, right? A place
they
where
don't make the
someone can
difference. Yeah,
fill.
they don't care. It's basically like
Yeah,
if you have a house and you rent it, they believe it shouldn't be yours.
right.
Yeah. So like when they pressure politicians for these changes, like sometimes the politician goes, well, the extremists are good because they put up pamphlets and they spread the message and they do the community activism. So like I'll give them this, and they add like some law to the bill, not thinking that it's ever going to actually make any changes in real life.
Mm.
But apparently it does now. So
Yeah, but it's always mystified me, right? Like if you're the actual person who has the deed, and you can prove to just any peace officer or whatever that you do not have a standing agreement of any sort with that person. Like I honestly don't understand how the law and
yeah.
could actually say, oh
But
yeah,
like
well,
I
you
can
got a
get,
problem.
yeah, I can get like if you're renting to someone, you're renting to a family, and it's not fair to evict them the next day. Like I get that there should be
Yeah,
some
but
protections,
these
but
are intruders.
yeah, but as you said, it's like if they're, at least when you're renting to a family, you have like a contract. There's a renting contract. There's their name on there. Like you actually made an agreement with them. But if it's someone that just went into your house and now lives there, well, they're intruders. Like they're, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the part that really kind of put a question mark over my head, right? Like these all of these places where this happens are all places without a castle doctrine.
No. You don't need castle doctrine. Like what you need is a teleportation device and teleport your house to Martha's Vineyard. And I guarantee to you, if your house is in Martha's Vineyard, like they will manage to fix that overnight. Like they will get rid of the squatters overnight.
Yeah,
They just
that's
disappear.
what the definitely they'll get a lot more attention over there. The response will be a little bit more escalated.
American Outlier agrees that stroke that Fetterman had helped his thought process. Man, Fetterman has been saying some really base stuff lately, and he also voted on some base stuff. So I'm keeping my eye on him. Maybe I'll support him next time that there's the elections. All right. So there was another interesting article that I found. Let's see. We talked about Greta Thunberg. Here we go. Diversity, equity, and inclusion apparently is going away, according to the Daily Show. Um,
Oh,
yeah. And when
that's
the
a bit.
Daily Show is saying something like the way I view the Daily Show, I don't know if you have my same vision. But most of these late night American comedians, they're more like propaganda outlets. Like this is what the American establishment want people to think, because they all have like the same opinions. They all dressed in the same suits. It's almost like it's the same person, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, when the Daily Show is saying something, is like Pravda newspaper saying something. They're not even funny. They're not comedy or anything. They're just like telling people how to think about certain issues. So if the Daily Show comes up and is telling people that diversity, equity, and inclusion is going away, then that's interesting. But what it doesn't say is that Bridge is coming, right? So Bridge stands for belonging. I don't know what R is for, but I is inclusivity. D is for diversity. G is for global, and E is for environment. So they're just rebranding it, basically.
Hmm. Well, I mean, it's more than just a rebrand. They're trying to make it bigger. As you know, it's the concept of the ship of Theseus. Only you're adding more every time you're rebuilding it, right?
Hmm.
Increase the scope, increase the name, change, make people pretend that, oh, look, that thing you were fighting against is over there and it's dying such a slow death. When in reality, you got like the equivalent of like one of those goddamn xenomorph aliens growing and growing on the other side in the shadows.
Yeah. Like they actually I listened to what they say, and the lady that's pushing for it, the CEO, was basically saying that she's upset that diversity, inclusivity, and equity isn't working, that most people are against it, like there's a backlash from the public. You know, Gillette makes a commercial about boys will be boys and people don't like it. So what they want to do is to move it from a corporate thing, like a commercial thing, to a corporate culture type of thing.
Yeah, that's
um
that's been ongoing for a good while. I can confirm that. I work a lot with corporate entities on the HR side, and that's been a long time coming.
Yeah, basically, like what they want is how Uber has this dynamic payment option, right? Like if the streets are crowded, Uber costs more, and if the
Yeah, it's
streets are
surge
empty,
pricing.
yeah, they want to do it like that. But like you know, you buy from a company that's not polluted, like has a high ESG score, you pay less. And they can also do it on race. Like if you're a minority, you get to pay less for the product.
And that would be absolutely ridiculous, man.
It would, but like I have seen a lot of ridiculous shit that they're doing, and to be honest, like they can say that you're not paying more, you're paying the same, but the minority pays less,
Yeah.
and that they would
Well,
say that is equitable, you know?
well, one thing that does kind of bug me about the whole DEI thing, right? Because they're saying now, oh my God, it's going away, it's going away. But is it okay if I rant again for a
Go
second?
on, go on. Let me just read the, or I'll read the super chats
Go
after you
for it.
finish the rant. No, I'll
Oh,
I'll do it
go ahead
after
for the
because yeah, we might.
after. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna draw a string here between like DEI and the whole discussion with Boeing, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we all know what's been going on with Boeing lately, right? There's a whole idea that the union work has been going away. But let me tell you about what DEI was way before it is what it is now. But
It was
when
sensitivity
we're
training,
talking,
wasn't it?
well, it kind of goes further than that. This whole inclusion and diversity thing, like depending on which company you really look at, like we're talking about 25 years ago, right? Long, long, long time ago, even further sometimes.
Well,
Let's
that
take a
that was
look, let's
the
say
time where you had like the first wave of political correctness, and
that's
like
correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
you had
that's
like
when we started
RoboCop.
going like no
Yeah,
stereotypes, no racism,
yeah, yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're black or white, even Michael Jackson was into it, right?
yeah. The RoboCop, Demolition Man, like all these old movies, Dirty Harry, like all of them were
Hmm.
making fun of this culture at the time.
Exactly, but I'm just going to say aircraft manufacturing or specialized manufacturing, metalworking, and all that, right?
Yeah.
All of these places that were making all of these quality pieces, like these big aircraft and all of that, were all union shops, right? Union metal workers, boiler makers, metal assemblers, metal cutters, safety inspectors, and all of that stuff, right? And then the diversity requirements came in, and you know that it's in North America, it's illegal to go after the unions unless you have a way to go after them, right? And the way that they went after the unions that were doing the quality work and had all of the training and the experience was by forcing diversity quotas. Now, even back then, 30 years ago, what do you think the percentage of women who were doing actual metal work was? It
Probably
was
very low,
pretty
yeah.
damn, yeah, it was less than 1%, right? Not that it wasn't available to them, it wasn't in their interest.
Well, yeah, like most women don't want to go into metalworking. You know, they want to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
journalists. They want to be nurses
There
or even doctors. But like women that actually, what is your dream? I want to be a metal worker when I grow up, Daddy. It's like
there are some. Yeah,
there are
I know
some. I
some,
mean,
and
sure,
they're
you know, when you have a big percentage, like some do. But let's be honest, like most women
yeah.
do not want to.
No, but I mean, they can be excellent at it, but they're just not necessarily interested at it at such a level. But when you have a diversity requirement and they say arbitrarily, well, you need to have, say, 38% of a female workforce, then the union becomes non-compliant in diversity quotas and can be sidelined in order to hire people who meet the diversity quota.
Mm-hmm.
So it originally some companies were using the diversity requirement as a way to slowly hip check the union and the high quality workers, the high cost workers out of their positions because they used to be protected. Now it's become a way to kind of cycle, you know, high value, low salary positions in order to, farm bonuses for executive levels.
Well, yeah, the best example is with the sub, right? What was it called? The Titan sub, right? The one that imploded. If you look at the history of it, the CEO of that company hired experts that told him that the way he's building the sub isn't feasible. Like he's risking the lives of the people that he takes over to Titanic.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh no, because these are like straight white men. What do they know about it?" Like he started having like diversity quotas, and he started hiring like young, diverse people that just finished college, and they were all. It's like, yeah, I mean, absolutely sure the sub works perfectly. So like the reason he did it wasn't because of ideological woke reason, because the guy was a cisgender straight white man himself. But he
Hmm.
used diversity as a way to justify why he should not listen to the experts and why he is hiring basically people with no experience outside of the university.
I understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example, and it's kind of tragic when you think about it because, like, in almost all of these situations, you have people with the experience, with the knowledge, telling them and like straight to their face, this shit's gonna happen if you proceed this way, and they find someone else to listen to instead of just facing reality.
Yeah.
It's weird that we're here, but here we are.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's like the ability to cut costs, right? Like you're hiring these people that are new, they're fresh from the university, and they're not going to ask as much as someone that worked on a sub for the last 40 years of his life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a whole lot you can learn, like through a book or through a CAD program and simulations and shit. But unless you've actually gone, like, say, on a ship and you've actually done the work and you learn like some of the weird little nuances of, say, like a ball crank valve or anything like that, or say like how certain types of seals work, it's not something you're going to necessarily know. Like, oh, well, if you run this kind of low pressure first, maybe the seal doesn't always engage. The system might not always like bring that in whenever it runs a simulation. So there's a lot of shit that you pick up when you get experience out on the field doing the work. And it's like corporations just now forget about that shit.
Solo the Lich for 50 Rs. What is Rs? Is it Argentinian thing? Is it with Javier Milei in the country? Rs. Is it as the great putting on thing in place of the other thing was no theory as some people who worship hungry Santa were saying? I don't really understand the super chat, but if you can clarify it in the chat, I will give you an answer. Um, Rs. I think it's Argentinian, isn't it?
I guess.
Yeah. Right. So that That was that covers it. Let's see what else we got. We got news from Life is Tumblr. Um, Life is Strange free, I think. Yeah. Life is Strange developer Deck 9 management has long let a toxic work culture fester at the studio. Can you believe it? Like the wokest fucking game ever. The video game that has a Trump supporter kicking the face of a child and saying "Make America Great Again." No, seriously.
Yeah, that's not a dog whistle.
No, yeah, like they had the. Okay, so have you played Life is Strange, the second one?
No, that's not my style of game.
Okay, I'll tell you the story, right?
Go for
This
it.
kid has supernatural abilities. He's like a mutant from X-Men.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it shows like two brothers, and they have like this dad, which is very cool, allows them to smoke pot and everything, right? Like you fall in love with the dad. But then the kids, the big brother is playing with the neighbor's kid, and the neighbor's kid, I think, like sprays some ketchup on his shirt. So the cops come in, they see like two kids fighting, and they think the ketchup is blood. So the cop pulls a gun, tells the kid to basically get down. The kid doesn't listen. They're playing. They have some scissors in their hand, and then the dad comes up, and he goes between the police officer and the kids. Dad gets shot, and then the brother with the supernatural powers awakens the powers and throws the cop car and just kills the cop. Right. So now you gotta play this reverse game of immigration where you're trying to illegally get into Mexico. Like these two
Oh, to
brothers.
get away when you're trying to escape
Yeah, you're trying
persecution
to
for.
escape, yes, the racist, cisgender, heteronormative, patriarchal United States, and
Yikes.
flee
All
all
right.
over to Mexico. Yeah, like without papers, right? So you're like doing the reverse.
All
And
right. So if the dad got shot, who's escorting them, or
the
is it
big
just the
brother, you
kids
play as
going
the
out
big
there?
brother. Yeah, you play as the big brother, and you
God
gotta
damn.
you gotta take your your little bro without a coyote.
Yeah,
You
you
gotta
remember when I
you
said
gotta
this wasn't
smuggle
my
him.
style of game? I stand by what I said.
You gotta smuggle him to Mexico. Do you know what they do to Americans in Mexico if they catch
I
them?
have no idea.
They put him in a bus and ship them back.
No way.
I'm telling you, if you're in Mexico as an American and you don't have identification, they put you in a bus and they send you back.
Get out of the club.
But anyway, right. And as you're playing, like there's this scene where you're in a store and you have the option to steal something because like the idea is that you're hungry, and you're stealing for your brother because like you don't have money. And if the store owner catches you, he's this MAGA guy, and he literally just ties you to a wall and then kicks you in the face and says, "We don't like your kind around here. This is why we need to build a wall." Like it's
Wow,
a very inclusive game. Definitely not divisive whatsoever.
yeah, that's real subtle. I like that. That's
Yeah,
super
You
subtle.
need to, like you're watching that scene, and some people may get one message, other people can get another. It's really up for interpretation.
Like,
Uh,
man, if someone would write something like that in elementary school, they get referred to a therapist.
well, the only thing that I was upset is that because I was playing this game live, and by the way, the company actually copyright striked my videos because I was shitting on the game. There were many people that did live streams. But I was like laughing all my way. Like I wasn't getting angry or upset. I was like treating it as is the best comedy thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to take those kinds of games seriously. Like, I mean, I know that they're trying to be dramatic and they're trying to be like, avant-garde in your face. Let's make this gritty and raw. And then you turn around and there's just this whole situation just makes it over the top, and then you wind up like you're looking more at something out of Red Dwarf than you are.
Yeah, like when when he kicked the kid, I was like, "Make America great again, bitch."
No fucking way.
So anyway, right? Apparently, the sequel to the game, I think it's made by a different company. I don't fucking know, but how hidden Nazi symbols were the tip of a toxic iceberg at Life is Strange developer Deck 9. I love how Nazi symbols now are like some heretical thing. I mean, dude, it's obvious they're putting them in to get a reaction. Like, it's
Yeah, I mean-
obvious, that you're going to freak out. I don't think they're actual Nazis in San Francisco that are like, well, let's put in the swastika.
Yeah, it's like those people that are convinced that artists sneak like, genitalia and all of their art or like memes or whatever the hell. They just like are the Nazi symbols in the room with you at all times.
Yeah, no, like the way I view it is like when you're in high school and someone draws a dick on the table. And why are they doing it? Because they're not supposed to, right? Like they're not supposed to do it. It's edgy, and they know it pisses the teacher off. That's why they're doing it, right? And it's the same thing here. Like they know it pisses the HR lady off.
Yeah.
And apparently it's not just this. Early last year, while working on the next entry in the Life is Strange, a few developers have stumbled upon something that they didn't belong in their game. Nazi symbol.
Nazi symbol.
Initially, developers noticed a reference to the number 88.
Dude. All right, go on.
Do you know what the number 88 stands for?
Well, I mean, it's one of the units in in like the whole.
No, okay, listen.
I don't remember the. Well, go ahead.
Okay. 8 is the 8th letter in the alphabet, is H.
Yeah.
So it's HH. It's Heil Hitler.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was like the number of like one of the military units that.
No.
Oh shit! All right. Sorry, I didn't know.
So anyway,
I'm not a big Nazi connoisseur, man.
well, I do live on the internet, okay? Like I know all the edgy things. I know the Nazis and the communists.
Right.
It's fine.
So they found something with the number 88 on
yeah,
it.
they found the 88 and they flagged the issue to their bosses, assuming it was an innocent mistake. Koshi. Label such a reference to racist memes, the number 18 and the Hegel rule, as the number of possible hate symbol. I'm willing to bet that they took the piss specifically because of this game.
Well, I mean, if they like saw 88 and it was like on the same asset in like one of the repositories, like next
No,
to,
they
like, one of
took the
those...
shit. No, they took the piss. They took
Yeah,
the piss.
they totally took the piss
100%
because I
taking
mean,
the piss.
88 is just a number. It's like if what's next? Are they gonna open up like FIFA or whatever or NHL 2000X or 2020X? And suddenly someone's jersey who says 88 is secret Nazi player. Like,
Do you know
what
they
the hell?
actually did that? Hold on. They actually did that. So I didn't.
Are
talk
you kidding me?
Yeah. Like FIFA has the T-shirts for Germany with the number 44, and they decided to
The lightning bolts.
Yeah. They decided to stop production of those and come up with a different symbol.
Oh, come on, man.
No, I'm not kidding. Like this actually happened last week. Hold on.
Yeah, don't they have that fancy symbol for double S as well?
Listen to this. According to the barely British corporation. Hold on, I'm going to give you the article. So according to the barely British company, we got football fans, Germany fans, banned from buying number 44 kits over the Nazi symbolism.
No way.
Adidas has banned football fans from buying German football kits customized with the number 44. We will block personalization of the jersey, the Adidas spokesman said. SS units were the most responsible for crimes against humanity committed by the Nazis. Wait, weren't the Japanese a little bit more proficient at it? Like they had.
Oh my god. Yeah, the
they
Japanese had
what
that.
was it?
Yeah, we're talking like pre-surrender Japan had that stuff assembly line industrialized, state-of-the-art levels of craziness, man.
How did they get the good PR to get away from that? You know, like the Japanese had their own Nuremberg trials, when apparently like most of the doctors there managed to get away almost scot-free.
Yeah.
That's a completely different topic. But anyway, the SS
rune
was
a whole other ballgame.
The SS rune was designed in 1929 for use by the Nazi units. Members of the SS ranged from Gestapo agents to concentration camp guards. SS duties included administrating death camps where millions of Jews... What the fuck does this have to do with the T-shirt in 2024?
Like, why don't they just change the font?
Well, that's what they're going to do. They're going to change the font. It's too edgy. But isn't it interesting how it's only the leftists that notice this shit? Like, I would never think about it. You know, you see a German with the number 44. The last thing on my mind is, just like in the death camps.
I know. But one of my old teachers, he gave me a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of wisdom.
Mm.
And it said, people who have nothing going on in their lives have to find reasons to be outraged.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I actually spoke with social justice activists who deconverted, and they basically told me that the reason they're outraged all the time is that when you're outraged, like you're in a social justice community, like a university or a Discord server, and you're like, oh, you know, like this really triggered me, and you get everyone's like, oh my god, did this happen to you? Oh, that's so horrible, you know, hugs and kisses. Like, you're basically getting attention, right? And it becomes like a game. Like, you have to find things that upset you in order to get the attention. And if you do it enough, at one point you actually do get upset of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole community, like, sympathizing with each other, it itself is a dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
So they're just looking for that next hit, the next outrage that gets them super stressed out, cortisol loaded, and then when let's say they do eventually cancel someone, can you imagine the euphoric rush that they must get when they successfully get rid of someone or cancel them? Like, we can see it inside the comment threads every time someone is like removed from a platform or demonetized or whatnot. There's an entire celebration, a very special celebration that goes on, right? A lot of cruel shit being said too.
But it's not only that. Like, it gets even worse. Like, Mark Kern, for instance, he worked on World of Warcraft. Is a little bit outspoken now in the gaming industry. And there was like this earthquake that took place in Taiwan, and he was generally concerned about his parents passing away, and people were celebrating. So it goes to those levels, you know? Like, if you're a non-person, it's kind of like the cult of Scientology. Like, if they deem you to be a suppressive person, then they're actually cheering and reveling in all of your misery. So I got this from a subscriber. This just in. Trans woman is cleared of flashing her penis at Ohio IMCA after judge ruled she is too fat for her genitals to be visible. I sent you the article. How do you unpack this? Like, I wonder, because this is like public record now. Like, wherever you go, people look for your name and they will find, you know, the Google case file, and it's like, well, it's acquitted. Why? Well, the person is too fat in order to be able to flash the genitals.
Yeah. Ruled implausible, reasonable deniability or plausible deniability that the event could not have happened because of fat rolls.
Do you think they had to strip in court in order to prove it?
I guess it would depend on how intense the defense had to get in order to get out of the fine.
Do you know, like, the reason I'm even bringing this up is because this is what happened to Boogie. And Boogie considered it to be fatphobic. Now, if you're not aware, Boogie went on Twitch when it was the naked meta going. And yeah, like, he posed himself naked. And I remember being on the Archcast and I was talking to Arch about it. It's like, look, Arch, there was nothing there. And Arch was like, but he was naked. And I agree, but like, you couldn't see anything. Like, there was nothing there. It was like the penis, when it created the character, it put all the points in stealth.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing about the hidden, unspoken Twitch rules, right? Apparently, for Twitch, it's not just about what skin you're trying to show; it's about how much skin you're showing in total.
It was a lot of skin.
It was a lot of skin.
It was a lot of skin. It was like Peter Griffin levels +2, you know? It was...
Yep.
Yeah. So then, Christian, happy birthday, V. Well, it was on the 2nd of April, but I do appreciate it. Edgy Satanists, when they see a Buddhist symbol, Oh, that actually, yeah, no, like the whole thing with Germany, it went to ridiculous levels when mangas and video games like Wolfenstein were banned.
Hmm.
Now I am making my own video game, as you're aware, and I can't talk about it on the channel. But I have found out that if I want to publish my game in Germany, I have to get it past the HR hags. They require like 2,000 euros in order to look at your game. And if they don't like the game, you lose the 2,000 euros. So fucked up. Like no other country does
Yep.
that.
Well, you're not actually incorrect.
Well, Australia, hold
Quebec.
on. Australia does it, and I think China. But like you expect
Yeah.
them, you know, it's, you don't expect like the heart of the European Union to be this
Yeah,
serious.
but I actually had to deal with that when I was way younger and I was like a total weeb and I was importing the old VHS cassettes of anime in from like ADV and all of that shit. In order to get it into Canada, you had to ship through Quebec. And every time one of these items would land in Quebec, they would have to put a sticker on it. And you had to pay for the sticker.
Hmm.
Right? So it's the same damn principle, right? They just want to put their
Well, no,
their
because like
finger on it.
the German fat HR hag committee is actually looking at the content, right? So like if they don't
Yeah.
like the content of the game, like if you're
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
if
the
you,
same, and that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing, right? You have to pay them for the sticker, and if they don't like what they're putting their sticker on, they send it back, and you don't get your money back.
oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it's just like I thought it's a formality with the sticker, you know, like they do
No,
on
no, no,
cigarette
no. You
packs.
pay for the privilege of them certifying whatever it is with the sticker.
Oh, so
If
they
it hasn't
actually
already
watch
been
the anime.
certified.
They would actually like watch the
I
VHS.
lost I lost quite a couple of clamshell cases to those guys. Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, because the thing is, like, if you make a game with succubis, you know, who are throwing themselves at the player, and it's like mushy mushy without consent, that they don't like that. Then, you know, I can look at the 75-year-old German woman just shaking her head and go like, no, no, this is too much, too much. For
Would
the
she
German.
even would she even understand? Would she even understand?
I don't fucking know. I mean, I generally, it would be funny just to submit them the worst type of games, just to subject them. You know, like give them Manhunt from, when was Manhunt made? The early 2000s? Have you played that game?
Of course. That's a classic. My
Yeah,
God.
like
Wasn't
for
it?
people that don't know, Rockstar, the same company that made GTA, made a game which had you play as a guy who escaped the electric chair. And the way you escaped is that some rich guy managed to buy you, and this rich guy was into snuff, like he liked to see people getting killed. So as you're playing the game, he is masturbating, like literally, he is vocalizing the fact that he is pleasuring himself as you're decapitating people and stuff. It's made by Rockstar, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Did it get an adult only rating, or was it like M for mature?
Let me check. Give me a sec. I've got the page open right now.
Because the game
rating
doesn't
was-
actually have any sex in it, but it's very, very brutal. And I think like Rockstar is ashamed of that game. Like they do not want to talk about it.
Yeah, there was controversy in Ontario because like this was 2003, man. So this was like just when these ratings.
Yeah, it's more violent than Mortal Kombat, I would say. Like it's probably one of the most violent video games ever made.
Yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat is violent in the sense that it's shock violence, right? You're tearing people's skulls off and all of that thing. Manhunt, the violence was very personal.
Yeah, and it was
Right.
yeah, it was also realistic in the sense like in Mortal Kombat, you know, you uppercut someone and his head flies off. Like no, here you had like a string wire, and you would get a person on their knees and you'd start to slowly move the wire left and right to cut through their neck, and then the sounds and everything was very visceral.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing when you're like considering a person's developing brain, right? But yeah, it was rated mature in North America, but in Germany it got confiscated. It was allowed to be sold, and then it got confiscated.
Confiscated?
Yes, yeah, in 2004, July 19, 2004, the Amtsgericht in Munich confiscated the PlayStation 2 version of Manhunt in violation of subsection 131 of the STGB representation of violence.
Yeah. Funny how is the Germans, man. So is the fucking Germans. It's like It's the little China of Europe. I swear to fucking God. It's like the worst type of legislation, the worst type of ideas come from Germany. I'm telling you this as a European. You don't have to agree.
No. I would say I was about to try to put it politely. The Germans just do shit different.
The shit different.
Yeah, they do their shit different.
I forgot which country was it. I know we disagree on how the pandemic was solved, but I think in Germany or Austria, like one of these two. I'm certain it's one of these two. They wanted to imprison people who don't get the Pfizer communion, and I was like, well, come on, that's a little bit too far. You know, like you don't have that many prisons. I generally like wanted to see them. Come on, do it. Yeah. Like, show me you have that many prisons to imprison everyone.
Yeah, we certainly disagree on a whole bunch of things, right, and all that. But the whole idea of actually imprisoning someone is like, no, dude.
But Germany was the ones, right? Like, even Italy was like, okay, well, if you're an old person and you don't take the communion, we're going to take away your pension. You know, like they had like different ways of doing things. But Germany was like 9. Prison. Well, it's like, okay.
Looking even a bit deeper, right? When you take into consideration that the EU and you take a look at like how some of the countries have like these model prisons and all of that, you know, they're all concerned about the rights of the prisoner and how you can't too incarcerate them and all of that shit. How quickly did that shit fly through the window just because a person didn't want to take the jab? It's their right to say, no, I don't want to take the jab. Right.
It was.
But suddenly, because they didn't want to toe the line that time, suddenly all of the rights against like, what is it? Unusual or unwarranted like incarceration.
Yeah. Well, technically they did it. Like, what happened is that the law was set up for discussion, but Putin saved us from the pandemic by invading Ukraine, and all of a sudden all the restrictions were lifted. Like it was, well, it was kind of difficult to justify. It's like, okay, you want to sit at the McDonald's, you need to show your papers, but if you cross the Ukrainian border, then you're fine, right? So that's when the measures were restricted in Europe, at least.
Like I kind of found it weird, right? Because even with all of that, we never really got to a point where we had to show papers. We had a contact reporting thing that you could use on your phone. But,
oh my God, that's why. Oh, okay. Well, that's why you weren't as triggered by the whole thing as I was. Like I had to write on a piece of paper in my country, like an actual piece of paper, every single time I left my house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like we didn't have it that bad, but there are some places that just went way, like. Way too far.
No, I had to write like this. I had to write name, address, reason for leaving my house, time that I'm leaving my house, where I'm going, when I'm coming back, official signature, date, and if you got anything wrong, like if you mistook the date, the hour, if you didn't write your name properly, 2,000 euros fine in a country where the median income was 200 euros. Like it was really upsetting.
Imagine even thinking about it now in perspective about how little importance that actual pen, like the shit that you wrote on that card, actually wound up being, and how much it probably destroyed lives.
Yeah, like, I mean, a lot of
upside down legislation, man.
Yeah, well, the people in Europe are more savvy with dealing with authoritarian governments. Like, we don't protest, we just sue them. And they got swamped in paperwork. Like, actual police officers were crying because they can't afford to pay. And it's like, well, tough shit. Like, why did you... All of the laws were considered unconstitutional, so then people could actually sue the police officers that fined people. Wow. And that's how we got out of it. But still, you know, the person that came up with the concept was absolutely mental. It's like, if 200 euros is the average income, you can't put a 2,000 euro fine.
That's just cruel and unusual.
Cruel and unusual, yeah. Let's see if we have something else to talk about, because I think we covered most of it. Just in case I missed one. Oh yeah, there's this interesting topic that came up, and I was looking at it. I didn't know what to do with it. So in Texas, there's this gentleman, and people noticed that he is touching himself while looking at children in a supermarket, right? So that's unusual, and they confiscated his phone. And what they found on his phone was that his wife was having multiple sex acts with the family dog.
Wow.
It's an interesting family. This is can we say that this is diverse? They're both white, but like that they had a diverse array of interests, right? Like they had
Yeah, it's like you know how there's always like that 0.3% like end to each bell curve
Yeah,
where
yeah.
all of the anomalies hit at the same spot and it's super rare. Well, whoever it is that found that guy just happened to encounter one of those.
It's interesting. Like maybe the woman, like she was a faithful wife, but like she didn't want to have sex with him because he's weird. He's touching kids. So she decided to go with the family dog. I want to
And
see.
this guy here had just happened to have it on his phone.
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah. No. Like my thing is, you know how the TV show Breaking Bad is like, and you start with this like chemistry professor, and it escalates until he becomes a drug lord.
Hell yeah.
I want to see the TV show of this couple. Like how do you get from high school to the point where you're arrested by the cops and you have photos of your wife bagging Fido? Like,
Well, I know this for sure. If we're gonna put something that horrible on TV, it's got to be written by Director X.
Director X? Who's he?
Oh yeah, the guy who did Robin Hood. Don't
Ah,
tell me you didn't watch that train wreck.
no, I have developed a type of thing like Ultra Instinct. I dodge bad shows before, like my body just moves by itself. Like the moment I see the smallest hint of wokeness, like when I see a race swap, a gender swap, or anyone involved with the production giving like the smallest amount of sass my way,
Oh, yeah.
like
In
I'm
my
not
case,
watching.
I watched it because Director X is Canadian, and because I am Canadian, I'm like, I'll at least watch it to see what my tax money is going towards because this was funded partially by the money that we put into our taxes, and let me tell you, it ain't impressive.
I gotta say, like Canada did make an amazing TV show called The 100.
Yes,
It was very good. I loved it.
yeah. We also did the Stargate series as well.
What did you do?
The Stargate series?
Oh, the Stargate is gonna no fucking way.
Yes, it is.
No, it's American. It's in the Cheyenne Mountain.
Yeah, yeah. It happens. It takes place in Cheyenne Mountain, but the production crew is Canadian.
I do not. I'm going to reset. Hold on. Get the fuck out. No, there's no fucking way. Stargate SG1
Yeah.
made in.
Andromeda was Canadian as well.
I believe that. Yes, because that one looked gay. But I don't think. That...
But
fucking
yeah,
Hercules in space. Get the fuck out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing that I never got with Andromeda, like he always said, "Oh, this is the staff weapon. Is the strongest weapon in the game." And what does it do? It fires lasers, and like everyone else just has
No,
guns.
it fires a blast of plasma.
Okay,
The
and
staff weapon fires it has a small capsule reactor and it fires blasts of plasma.
okay, and
Well,
I'm
it's
not.
possible that the reason why it's considered powerful, even though it doesn't shoot super fast, is that it can pretty much punch through any type of armor.
Yeah, but like, if you're fighting tanks, I would get it. But if you're fighting other humans and it doesn't shoot
Yeah,
fast, and they go all out with a beep, 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 and
yeah.
you're
Well,
like,
they actually have an entire episode that proves how inefficient the staff weapon is. It's like what O'Neill was saying in that episode, right? The staff weapon is the weapon of terror. It's a
oh no, 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 no,
ceremonial
I
weapon.
don't. I'm not talking about the SG1 now. I'm talking about Andromeda, right? So in
Oh,
Andromeda, yeah, in
yeah,
Andromeda, Hercules has a staff, and it's
yeah,
considered
the
to be like,
Guardian staff.
yeah, and it's considered to be really powerful, right?
Yeah, it's a gravity. It has gravity manipulation. It's supposed to be able to move and hit really fast. He's supposed to be able to project a shield or a specialized laser at the end.
Yeah, but like it doesn't do any of that. It's just like a normal gun, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's actually pretty unimpressive to be honest.
yeah, because like I was comparing him to Star with Star Wars, where you have like the lightsabers and stuff, and it's like, and everyone is like, oh my god, you have the staff. Oh, and when he goes into battle, it's just like another gun.
Yeah, being the geek that I was and having watched Andromeda because it reran like 1,000 times on Canadian television. Like when you take a look at the early seasons, they took the staff weapon or they tried to make it a thing a lot more. Like they tried to do that like ooh he's getting ready by swinging the staff around his hips to make it grow and all of that. And that's how it was at the start of the series.
Yeah.
But the further you got into the series, like in the mid and late seasons, it became more of a kind of like a scepter to show that he's actually from the Andromeda, and then it became more of like a gun.
Oh. Artemis says, to be clear, just because it's filmed in Canada doesn't make it Canadian. Nothing about SG1 is Canadian. I do agree with him.
Ah,
Do you know that Amazon is planning to make another SG1?
yes. Well, they put down the money and the information for the trademarks, but we haven't seen any real like revision of the teaser script.
Well,
that they
we
had put in
already
for
know
the
they don't want to
suggestion.
work with the original producers. So what I think is going to happen, they're going to have diversity. They're going to be like, well, hold on, like wasn't Stargate diverse? I mean, they had a woman on the team. They had Teal'c. It's like no. It's going to be woke diversity. It's going to have Shakila, and Shakila is going to be like this black lady, which was like engineered to be the best Goa'uld host, and she leads a rebellion on her planet, and then she comes to Earth, and she's like the whole team. Like she is a great leader. She speaks all the languages. She knows all the science. She is an expert into all of the civilizations that have ever lived. And she's going to have like 3, maybe 4 soy boys just so she can bully them around, but they're mostly there just, you know. And she's going to also like fix America. Like she's going to talk about racism and the environmentalism and all that stuff. Is that how you see the new Stargate? Because that's pretty much how I would think it. Like if they do it like this, they will not subvert my expectations. They will fulfill my expectations.
Well, I mean, did you watch Stargate Universe?
Yeah, but that was bad for different reasons.
Yeah, well, think of it this way, right? Stargate Universe was around like when we're talking about like the up curve of all of this like new think that we have in this like the creation of series and media and all of that. SGU was just at the real like when it starting to spike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can expect the same feelings and hallways kind of writing with the new Stargate that we had in the old. Only now we're gonna have the addition of the new writers requirements and the allocation requirements and the content and context requirements that are going to be required for all of this special money to go into the series to be able to get it
Yeah,
right.
because I think
So
like
I don't see it being any better.
yeah, I mean the thing with Stargate Universe was that Battlestar Galactica was very popular and everyone wanted to make a Battlestar Galactica, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the thing with Stargate, I think like you can make it woke if you want, in the sense that you can have like diversity, but it has to be a team. Like the cool thing about Stargate is that they all had like their own specializations, right? Like Samantha Carter wasn't like she could be good at hand to hand combat, but she wasn't going to beat Teal'c,
Damn right.
right? She was good at fighting weapons, but she and being a scientist, but she didn't know about civilizations like Daniel. And the thing
Yep.
with the woke is like they create characters to be like representations rather than their own characters with their own stories. So if they make like a black woman that doesn't know about science, then it's like, well, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that black women don't know science? And if she
Well,
doesn't know about civilizations, like, what are you trying to say? Are you saying that she can't know about, you know? So that's why they keep making the Mary Sue, is because they cannot give flaws to the characters.
no, it's like when you take a look at how the dialogue used to go in SG1, right? Because they have a really a high amount of really witty interchanges once the characters find their groove, right? You get into like the middle season, the high budget seasons.
Yeah.
They have really good repartee between each other. There's a charisma and an understanding of all of the characters' viewpoints, and the actors are permitted to enter that character's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, the characters, like the main heroine in a lot of the most recent like series, has everything she needs right there at the start, right? She doesn't really need anyone's help, or if anyone is helping the heroine, she will figure it out just before the person who's helping them
Oh
actually
yeah, that's
accomplishes anything of
that's really
value.
great point. It's like She-Hulk, right? When she gets trained by the actual Hulk, Like, she
Yeah.
already knows everything that Banner knows. Like, she doesn't need to
Yeah.
know how to control her rage. She's been controlling her rage all her life. Ah.
Like, and the worst part is like when you take a look at that scene and she's there, it's like I control it, infinitely better than you, and it's like, no, she's already lost the plot, right? Because she already has that anger in her,
Yeah. And not
right?
only
And now
that,
she
it's
has to
like,
deal with that with the Hulk amplifying it. She
yeah,
has to learn how to calm herself
it's the
down.
fact that the writers don't care about the original IP because they don't care about the fact that the Hulk saw his father beat his mom to death, or that the father of the girl that he fell in love with, the general, sick his military on him for
Hmm.
most of his life, and you're telling me, well, actually, I'm a woman in America and I know about rage more than you.
Yeah, because apparently getting catcalled
Is
a
worse
reason.
than all of that shit.
Yeah, because and it's when you really think about the analogy that it strikes, right? When we're talking about She-Hulk in particular, where she's like, "Oh yeah, I felt that anger, when I'm catcalled and walking down the street." And I'm saying to myself when I was listening to that line, I'm like, getting catcalled on the street makes you angry enough to like want to commit multi-block, multi-city homicide?
Well,
Like,
maybe, I don't
my
know. I've
God,
never been
what?
catcalled, so
Yeah, like a lot of these lines are written in order to try to sound dramatic, but once the line is minted, they don't sit back and say, well, if we really look at what that line is saying or trying to communicate, what's really being said here? It's like there's no second thought put into it.
Artemis Fowl says, funny part is that her story is automatically not canon. We know who started the rebellion on Earth. It was two separate SG-1 team. Artemis Fowl, you're innocent enough if you think they can't retcon. Like, look at Doctor Who. All of a sudden, Doctor Who
Oh
is
yeah.
actually this black chick that got taken advantage of by this cisgender straight white woman to steal her immortality. So
Yeah, Doctor Who is the king of logic re-envisioning from season to season. So don't think for a second they can't retcon that stuff if they really wanted to.
Team America World Police made a cameo for the 200th episode, I think, making a puppet rendition of the Stargate movie. That was so fucking good.
It was.
God, I really miss Stargate. I'll have to watch it. Do you know they made a video game recently, which is not that bad? Stargate Timekeepers, I think it's called.
I actually didn't see it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Commandos if you played it. Like, you got it's like a stealth strategy game. So the whole purpose is to stealth through the mission, and it starts with the battle in Antarctica, and you gotta sneak past the Goa'uld, and all of your characters have like various abilities. Like, you have
Oh
one
yeah,
guy that can
yeah.
punch and tie up guards. You got another chick that can throw a decoy and a grenade.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's got kind of like this company of heroes but stealth kind of feel to it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's kind of like Desperados if you played it.
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
And yes, Tomcat 45 Stargate has a couple of movies actually. They all typically take place after the end of one of the major seasons. Like there's one for Atlantis. Actually, I think there's more than one for Atlantis.
No, Atlantis had one. They had like a
Yeah,
scheduled
that one where
another
they had to
one.
deal with Ardra. Yeah,
Yeah. And SG-1 has like the original movie, and then it has like two extras. So in total, I think there's like three or four.
yeah, because there's one where Ball goes back and screws around with Teal'c in the timeline and all of that stuff, and they got to reset everything.
Yeah.
Oh man,
But anyway,
nostalgia.
right. We're getting off track. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover today. If you want to tell the chat where they can find your channel.
Oh man, I haven't posted anything in a while, but when I do get back to it, it's Ors Design Incorporated, so Ors Design Inc. So,
Write it in the chat so they can see it.
oh yeah, I will. Here we go.
Yeah, you make insightful videos. I believe that if you were to upload more often, you may actually get a decent following going.
Yeah, well, now that I'm back from the cold, frozen north, I'll actually have time to do it. So I'm looking forward to putting some more shit out there.
Yeah, and I'll invite you more often if you're interested in joining because it's interesting talking to a leftist. I have another Canadian friend, Short Fat Otaku, but he is a little bit more consuming, let's say like this. It drains
Yeah,
the
I see
psyche.
myself more as a left-leaning centrist, or at least I have some policies in alignment with the left. But I don't know.
Well, we do have
I
like
like some what the right is doing too. No, I like thinking that we got things we can build together.
yeah, no, like this is interesting because like talking with you is more refreshing. As I did manage to change your mind on some things and vice
Oh
versa.
yeah,
But
hell yeah,
usually, if you
you
talk to a
have.
leftist on Twitter, it's it's another
Yeah,
story.
there's a lot of people who think it's always us v them kind of thing, right? I like to keep my mind open.
Yeah. People are asking when is Dungeons and Dragons. I play with the other Canadian Dungeons and Dragons, and when we go into politics, we start spurging out. Um, it's difficult. Let's put it like this.
Oh, is he? God.
Yeah.
Shit, is that all right? Well, I mean, how is that adventure going anyway?
A little bit poorly because there's a person in the party that's very cautious. Let's put it like this, like incredibly cautious, and
Oh,
I'm a lot
the
more
slow crawl
impulsive.
style.
Well, it's kind of the style where like everything has to be a democratic decision. You know, you want to take a piss, and you have to ask for consent. And I just, it's kind of like playing with a woman. You know, like what do you want to have for dinner? Well, I don't know. What do you want to have? It's like, well, I want to have this, but I don't want to say something that would offend you. So
Yeah, I've been in those parties before. I have felt that pain.
yeah, it's not my type. But I'm trying to adjust. I'm trying to accommodate. V, I will give you $100 to argue with Dev at the end of the next session. No, no, no. I do not want to. You know what? Fuck it. Give me $100. I'll fucking argue. What do you want me to argue with him about? Hold on. And I just realized that I'm a whore. I realized that I commissioned a very expensive Japanese artist for my game, and you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll argue with him. What do you want me to argue about? I'll figure it out.
Business transactions or chat.
Well, I mean, it's $100. You know, I'll just find something. The truckers in Canada. Do you want me to talk to him about that? Want me to talk about how Trudeau president? I will. I will do it.
Yeah, ask him his opinion on the new online safety bill.
Do you know what they did in Scotland? Oh, this is something we didn't talk about. So they have like something similar in Scotland, and they did what we do in Romania, which is they
Hmm.
got so many complaints that the police is unable to actually make genuine police work. Yeah, no, like they're getting complaints. Apparently half of them are because of J.K. Rowling, right? Like she misgendered people. And the other complaints is for the prime minister himself, which went into the parliament and had the speech going. It's like, so many white people. Look at this guy, white. That guy, white. And this guy, white. And the surgeon general, white, white, white. And
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
remember that.
and people are flagging him.
Wow. Oh, Artemis makes the cut with 100.
Yeah,
No
well, I will
way.
have to go. It's like politics, election, and court cases with Trump's system working as it did. You know what? Like, I will argue with you right now. Do you not think that there's a little bit of political persecution with those court cases? Like, just a little bit where the process is the punishment?
Yeah, they're are you familiar with very many American gangsters, V?
Yes.
Right?
The RICO law, yeah?
Well, it's even beyond that. And of course, the actual name of the guy that it wasn't. I don't know if it was Capone. But at the end of the day, they got him on an IRS thing, right? But when the government decides that it puts its foot down, enough is enough, they will dogpile every fucking agency that they can until they find something.
Yeah.
Well, when they wanted to get rid of and I'm probably wrong when I say Capone for some reason. I want to say Capone,
Yeah,
but my
the
brain
one
is
for
telling me
taxes,
that.
right? For tax evasion.
Yeah, they got him
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
IRS at the end for
Yeah,
tax
yeah.
evasion instead of despite the mountains and mountains of I'm using air quotes back here of evidence that they
Yeah.
said that they had that should have been a lock. Whatever it wasn't enough for prosecution to actually push forward and get the judge to agree. So they had to find something else. When I look at how it was described back then, because I wasn't alive back then, but it's well documented and well described, I see a lot of parallels.
Well, as an Eastern European, this is actually how it's done in Europe. Like, if you have an up and comer that's challenging the establishment, and it doesn't matter if it's left wing or right wing, but it's like someone that's inconveniencing
Yeah,
the establishment.
someone
They will
someone
dig
who's
and
who's
dig, and
not
they
going
will,
with the flow. Yeah.
yeah, they will dig and find something. And if they don't find something, again, like the process is the punishment. Like the very fact that you're being dragged through the courts and you got to pay for your own lawyers, and you live with the adrenaline that any day
Yeah.
you can get convicted and stuff, dissuades a lot of people from. But if you
Yeah.
want to talk about American history, something interesting is that in World War One, they had the Ministry of Censorship, I believe it was called. Like you weren't allowed to talk against the war, and you weren't allowed to talk
Mhm.
against the government. And this person that actually did talk against the war and the government was imprisoned, and he ran for presidency from within the prison. So like there is precedent for it. But the interesting thing about Trump, and I think I did discuss this with you, what happens with his Secret Service if he goes to prison? Because legally
uh,
speaking, like if they don't change the law, right? Like if everything is left the way it is now, the Secret Service has to go with him in prison.
yeah, they would probably shoot him. They in the event that he would be imprisoned because he has to have his detail, unless that they have a federal mandate that comes in that can suppress the detail. They're probably going to put him in the same kind of housing arrangement as they would with someone under federal incarcerated witness protection, which is like not really put into a housing unit or a core unit inside like a Supermax or a Florence or anything like that. But they would have these separated micro homes, kind of like these little apartments that are all like
Also,
double
like
fenced
one
off.
of those the suburban homes in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's like separate prisons for live-in units or conjugal units
Yeah,
in
I
some
think I know
cases.
what you mean. Yeah, and the
Yeah,
Secret
they would
Service would be
probably put him
there.
in that. Yeah, because that's the only way that they'll be able to have the capability of moving the required people back and forth, and for the Secret Service to be able to do their job, they require at least a vehicle, one vehicle for every 4 men.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of side considerations that has to be considered when you're looking into a diplomatic or a security detail of that kind.
yeah. Because
And
the thing
since it's
is,
a
the optics as well. Like, let's assume he actually has to go to prison, and even if it's
yeah,
something he did,
whatever, yeah.
you can't have him die in prison, under no circumstance, right? Because then you look like Russia. So
Well, it's even beyond that, right? Even it's like if he dies, it looks bad,
yes,
right? If he dies first, and not only that, he's a former president that dies in custody.
no one would
Uh,
believe that he died of natural causes as well. It's
no,
like
I mean, I mean, geez, if they the whole Epstein thing being what it is,
yeah.
do you really think that that meme would ever die? Good God.
And the thing with Trump is that he is actually of age. Like it wouldn't be surprising if he passed away, right? Because he's like what 80
Yeah.
something, right? But like if he actually went to prison, and even if he died of natural cause, no one would believe it.
No, no, no. It would be way too many gray areas that people would leave unanswered or just pick at. It would become a living conspiracy theory, like Elvis is still alive kind of thing.
Reminder: New York State changed its laws as to extend the statute of limitations so that one chick could submit a lawsuit to sue Trump for sex assault. Get the fuck out! I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that, that
Jesus.
statute of limitations extension, if I recall correctly, was temporary. It's not a permanent change. It only changed for a period of 364 and 1/4 days, just enough to say it wasn't a year.
Is that the thing?
If I recall correctly about how the case had was allowed to enter, I believe that's how it worked. Now,
See,
again, this might.
why can't I argue with you? Because Short Fat Otaku would be like, no, actually, the system.
Well, I read that like a while back. Like it's been quite a while. I haven't looked into it since, but my memory tells me that the opening, the extension clause has a termination date. So basically, they opened it to allow any victim to report during that period of time, and then the statute closes again.
And during this time, it's when Trump was
Yes.
fantastic.
Because when the opening period for the adjustment of the statute of limitations came in, I believe that the actual complaint that was placed against Trump took place within the span of around 2 months or 3 months, because
Dude,
it
that's
takes a while
crazy. That
Yeah, it
is
takes a
so
while for everyone to get their documents in order and to serve due notice and all of that shit.
this reminds me of something that happened in my town. There was this chick that was connected to the mayor. So I think she was the mayor's daughter or some other type of relation. And she runs over a guy on the sidewalk, right? Like with a car accident. Like this is prison here if you do that.
Okay.
So what her father does is during the night calls the city officials and moves the sidewalk.
What?
Yes. Like
Oh, no way. So that the
yes.
person was standing on the road.
Yes, like they scrub the old sidewalk from where it is. They move the side and they place it a little bit further away. Right? Now this is the reality of Eastern Europe. This is what I'm
That
used to,
is
right?
that
So
is
like
the most Austin Powers Dr. Evil shit I have ever heard.
it was in the
Beyond absurd.
newspapers as well. And the thing is, like, everyone knows what happens. Like, everyone knows. But I think, like, the legality of it was in question because, like, they argued in court. It's like, well, yeah, but, like, the sidewalk isn't there. And then they would say, well, no, we moved it, like, before the accident and you couldn't prove it. Right?
Yeah,
Because,
if
like,
the work wasn't written down or mandated and it was
yeah.
completed,
Like,
then there's no record.
yeah, like basically they were saying no, like this was moved a couple of hours before she actually convicted the crime, and you know how it is. It's like beyond the shadow of a doubt, and well, there was the doubt that could have indeed happened. It could have taken place before the accident, and they also paid the guy, the victim, so he doesn't speak, and there you go.
Yeah.
But like that's
That-
Eastern Europe, right? And I'm trying to explain to Dev, it's like, look, if it can happen here, it can happen in America, and he just doesn't believe it.
Oh man, for sure that shit happens in America. Man, I remember when we were doing one of our legal audits around 10 years ago, where we were taking a look at bad court cases, right? We had court cases where even lawyers were going out and they were like one particular event, right, is they had someone who failed to stop at a stop sign at a T intersection and basically hit a kid with their car, right?
Yeah.
Their lawyer that was trying to defend them to get out of the medical payment went over to the intersection, took a branch from a tree, I don't know if they like duct tape it or jiffy taped it or like zip tied it, but they put a branch so that it looked like there was something covering the stop sign. It was uncovered as a fabrication, right? And then that guy got reprimanded by the court and all that. But this kind of like manipulation of the environment, basically environmental gaslighting.
The thing is, like in my country, because of there's no parking space, like a lot of times you'll see cars parked in front of the sign, so you can't see it. But that's still no excuse. Like
Yeah,
you're
shit.
supposed to, like at every single intersection, you're supposed to stop and look for the signs. So
Yeah, because I mean, I remember when I took my driving courses in order to qualify for the for like licensing, and they say when you're in doubt at any intersection, treat the intersection as if it's a four-way stop.
yeah.
It's just that simple. Just slow the fuck down. You're riding a usually at least a ton worth of metal and polymer plastic, moving at least 30 miles or like 40 kilometers an hour. That's like. That, like, man, there are siege engines with less kinetic energy than that.
Anyway, rating terror $2. How much to convince Razix he's an oath breaker? I can't. Like, look, I can read super chats, I can argue with Dev, but I can't do the impossible. He plays a paladin, and he's not supposed to lie, but he lies. So that's an oath breaker.
Ooh, yeah. A paladin. That's the whole thing about the paladin is that the code that they're on is unshakable. You have to remain true to your code.
Yeah, but he's got like a more
Flexible
interpretation, yes. And the GM goes along with it because I would be like, no, you broke your oath. You're not supposed. Actually, like role playing a person that can't lie, and you still need to work for the party. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a difficult self-limitation that really it forces you to dig into your wits to figure out how to word things to be just right enough.
Yeah. And imagine like a world with paladins like that. Like they would probably be very stoic and refuse to talk much.
Yes.
Like they would
Very
just,
much so.
yeah, they would not talk unless absolutely necessary. The way I would imagine them would be behaving like Judge Dredd.
Well, yeah, that's actually a really good. Like, think of it. If we're talking about like old school D&D Forgotten Realm stuff, Judge Dredd would be like a paladin of Tyr,
Yeah, but he doesn't
paladin
play
of
like that.
justice. You know.
And it would be so fucking cool. No, instead he just says he imposes out of character to the party. Like if we want to take a quest, it's like, okay, enslave an orc. He's like, no, my character wouldn't do that, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation. And I'm like, okay, but like, what's stopping our characters from doing the quest without you? Like, we can just leave you behind. Like, oh no, because we're friends and we're playing together. And it's like, well, then fucking roleplay in a way that makes your character willing to join us on the quest. I don't care how you rationalize it, but
So his paladin is what's the
lawful
nature
good,
of his
I
paladin?
guess. Yeah, but like lawful good with the morality of our century.
Well, okay, because like I was gonna say, you can be lawful good and still enslave orcs,
Yeah, but the GM
right?
doesn't think that. He will say no because like enslavement is evil, and I'm like,
Oh, okay, so he thinks lawful good means goody two shoes.
yeah, exactly. They think like lawful good would mean our morality, right?
Okay, all right.
Nah.
That's a shame because the ability to play someone who's supposed to be a face for the force of good, and I'm using air quotes here, and yet at the same time is permitted to commit atrocities and has to come to terms with that, especially if his enemies bring it up against him, makes for such a much more deep character dilemma.
Yeah, look, like Joe Schmo here is like, wait, you can't complain about Rags oath-breaking while also asking him to start the slave trade. It's like, no, that's not what I'm asking him. Like, I'm asking him to rationalize and come with us in the quest. And you can do it multiple ways. It's like, okay, well, you're a paladin, right? You can just join in without partaking into the slave trade just to see what the orcs are and how they live and how they fare in combat and maybe convince the party not to do it. Like, you can
Yeah.
find in-game role-playing reasons on why you would
Yeah.
tag along without actually partaking into the thing. Because I asked the GM, is it legal? And the GM said, well, your kingdom never encountered orcs before, so yeah, technically it's legal. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's legal and he has no authority to stop us and he's a lawful good character, then he can still tag along just to see how the orcs are, just to,
Yeah.
see how they're in battle. And he may try to talk us out of doing the slave trade, but yeah, I mean,
Exactly. You're correct. You're absolutely right. Like even if he doesn't necessarily participate in like straight up the whole capture and then lead the orc back for what is going to be his incarceration and later sell, that part doesn't matter, right? Because the slavery doesn't happen right away for the paladin. The paladin could be going there in order to help vanquish evil because that one orc you're trying to capture is probably not the only one who's there, and that tribe or that settlement or whatever of orcs is probably threatening local good people.
uh,
Then after the whole deed is done, then as you're walking back and you guys are leading your new orc captive, then that's the time that he should be taking to say like, I don't actually agree with what you guys are doing there.
yeah,
Not that he doesn't have to agree with it
yeah. And he
to
can't
remain in
stop
the
us
party.
because legally speaking, he does have no authority. He's not chaotic good, he's lawful good. And Josh Mo says, you are asking that Rags has to stop you from committing evil if he goes with you. Yeah, if he does it in character, that's fine. But like the thing that annoys me is that he does it out of character. Like he said, well, my character wouldn't. Then roleplay your character not doing it. That's fine. We can leave him behind. It's three members of the party because a lot of people talk about me because I'm the face. But there's three people of the party that constantly can't play the game because like every single time he goes like, no, we're not doing this, and it's like 1 versus 3, and it's annoying.
Yeah, it's wrong to go into a D&D game and say that I can't do something just because my character wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah. Like, for instance, he refused to roll initiative last time we were attacked by bandits, because it was like the GM got bandits to rob us. And
Okay.
we didn't like that. We were like, no, fuck this shit. We're going to fight. We don't like the railroading thing. We don't enjoy being backed up against the wall. We're going to fight. And he just didn't want to roll initiative. And I was like, well, you don't have to fight. You can just keep your hands up, not partake into the combat. But we are fighting. And he just refused.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these
Maybe conveniently move to a certain position so that an enemy can't take a shot or something. You know, there's other ways to participate without fighting.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. He just out of character refused to roll initiative, and it's like, well,
Yeah, well, I mean, then again, we're discussing this from the outside looking in. It's possible that he has logic, or the player has logic.
oh,
that
he
maybe we're
just
not
wanted to
considering,
continue
right?
the role play by like us negotiating with the bandits and getting robbed. And I'm like, okay, well, so now you're not the brave paladin of Tyr anymore, you know, of Helm. Sorry, you're not the brave paladin of Helm
Oh,
anymore.
he's a
when
paladin
it's
of
convenient.
Helm. Oh
Yes.
my god. Okay.
Like a paladin of Helm would not just allow, you know, the bandits to take stuff away from him. He would be like, no, I'm standing here defending everyone else run while I keep the bandits occupied. You know, like that's what he would probably do.
I mean, from my perspective, and again, this is my opinion. Unless the paladin would have a reason to think that he could later track them down or gain information from it or something, you know. There's typically, if you're going to relinquish something to evil and knowing that evil will benefit from whatever you relinquish to it, you're supposed to take steps to right that wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I view it. A paladin of Hell was probably like Judge Dredd. That's how I view it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. He is the law, but he doesn't act like
what are you playing in that game?
a sorceress, a VTuber. Like you can use illusion magic to cast VTube shit on the walls and stuff.
What are you, like, spray painting Twitch chat on the wall?
Yeah, like in taverns, you can actually go in taverns and cast a major illusion and have like a shy lily, and you can perform and dance and stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, the GM doesn't really like
major illusion, simulacrum, project image, project sound.
Yeah.
Make your own little show. Prestidigitation.
Yeah, well, prestidigitation is very small, but yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, right, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for joining. This was very
my pleasure.
And I'll see you guys later. Take care.